our next United States Senator, Marco Rubio.
Thank all of you. Thank you for the Marco chant. Please don't say polo. It ruins the whole thing. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your standing ovation. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you being here today. I appreciate this opportunity to speak to you. I'm only going to be able to talk for about 5 minutes because, unfortunately, we were not able to get our teleprompter through security this morning at the airport. So we're going to wing it. So I just thought I'd talk to you for a few moments about this election. Now, we are in the middle of it, because we've already started voting. How many of you have already voted? Well, we do that to identify which ones of you haven't voted yet. We got your picture. This election is about voting. It's about turning out and voting. That's all that it's about at this point. And so I urge all of you who have not voted yet to do so. Here in Florida, there's no excuse not to vote. You can vote early. Last week when I said that, someone said, you can vote often. No, you cannot. You can vote early.
Not Chicago.
Only in Chicago. You can vote early, you can vote by mail, and you can vote on election day. There is no reason not to vote. And never in our lifetime has there been a more important election than this one. You see, this election is not just a choice. For example, the U.S. Senate, it's not just a choice between a Republican and a Democrat and an opportunist. It's not. It's not just a choice between good ideas, bad ideas, and no ideas. It's not just a choice between solid principles, not so solid principles, and lack thereof. This election is a referendum on our identity as a people and as a nation. Yes. For 230 some odd years, our nation has been exceptional, unlike any place in all of human history. It's been exceptional, not by accident. It happened because the people who stood in places like this before us were willing to do whatever it took to keep America that way. And because they did, each generation of Americans left the next better off. And it will only remain exceptional if we now here are willing to do the same. The challenges we face are extraordinary. They are neither partisan nor simply ideological. They have to do with the practical implications of a nation that spends more money than it takes in. The reality of a world that's as dangerous as it has ever been. And the very simple truth that jobs and economic growth are not created by politicians. They are created by everyday people from all walks of life who start a business or expand their existing. Why we are in the wrong direction is because the people in charge don't get it. Now, I'm going to say something that I hope no one is offended by, but I believe it's true, and truth should never offend. Washington is broken, and let me be blunt, both parties are to blame. But we have never seen anything like the last 18 months. And if the next 18 months are like the last 18 months, we will cross a line from which we cannot come back from. The bottom line is that we desperately need to send people to Washington, D.C., who will stand up to this agenda and offer a clear alternative. People who will go to Washington and understand that the job of government is to create an environment where it's easier, not harder, for people to start a business or expand the existing business. People who understand that you cannot, as a government and as a nation, continue to spend more money than you take in and hope to prosper and even survive. And people who understand that the world is a safer and better place when America is the strongest military power on the earth. Now, the choice in the Senate race in Florida is pretty simple. I'm the only one running that would have voted against the stimulus package. I'm the only one running to tackle the debt and save Social Security. And I'm the only one running that will vote to repeal and replace Obamacare. But we're not making that decision simply at the senatorial level, but in races up and down the ballot, even races that have state implications. The last thing we need are supporters of the current direction of our country, supporters of the Obama-Reid-Pelosi agenda on the state cabinet. The last thing we need is to send more votes in favor of Pelosi's agenda in the House. And so this election is consequential beyond anything we can describe today. Look, we have fun sometimes in politics, but all kidding aside, this election matters. It matters in ways that some still do not fully understand. What we are deciding is simply this. Will we be the first generation of Americans that will leave our children worse off? Or instead, will we be the next generation of Americans that allow our children to inherit a country and a life better than our own? Will America become just like every other country in the world? No! Or will we tightly embrace and do whatever it takes to ensure that we remain the greatest country in the history of the world? That is the choice we are 10 days away from making, and I know which road we'll choose. And here's why. Up and down the ballot, here's why I know Americans will embrace exceptionalism. Because you see, without exception, every single one of us in this room, and every single one of us in this country, is the direct descendant of a go-getter. It is the most powerful common heritage that we share as Americans. When you talk about a common heritage of Americans, people sometimes scratch their head. What do you mean? We don't have a common religious denomination. We don't have a common race. We don't have a common ethnicity. Our common heritage is that every single one of us can track our lineage back to somebody who was a go-getter. For most of us, it means that at some point, somewhere in our ancestry, there was someone who could not be who God meant them to be in the nation of their birth. But in America, they had the opportunity to fulfill those dreams and leave their children with a better life. For others, it means they are the descendants of slaves, of people who overcame the most vicious and cruel institution in human history to claim their share and their stake in the American dream. We are all descendants of go-getters. And the descendants of go-getters are not going to stand by and watch as our country becomes like those places that our ancestors came here to get away from. So, we have our chance. We have a chance to do what the Americans before us have done. To stand up and confront the great challenges of our time. And in so doing, allow our children to inherit the greatest nation on the earth. And I know that we will. But to do so will require each one of you to vote for us. It will require each one of you to go out and get other people to vote for us. And if we do this, and I know that we will, then I believe November 2nd will be an extraordinary day in Florida and across America. Because it will be a day where history will record that Americans came face to face once again, as they have in each generation, face to face with a decision. Do we want to remain exceptional, or do we want to become like everybody else? And Americans chose exceptionalism. These Americans here and now did what the Americans before them always did. They rose and met the challenges of their time. And because they did, they left their children what they deserved to inherit. The single greatest nation in all of human history.
Thank you very much. Thank you.